I've asked the library to pull some documents for us.
I can't wait. Some Recollections of a Long and Unsuccessful Life by George Steele.
He had a sense of humor, I think. Let's go to page 10.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Interested to see what this is. When the fighting was over at the riot house, Parker and Levi Pownall Jr. ran to get a horse and wagon, but before they geared up, a neighbor brought the wounded man over. At night the day of the riot, Dickinson Gorsuch, the wounded man, was not expected to live. There were a great many of his friends and neighbors in the Pownall house, and the house was surrounded by a crowd. Interesting. So they actually took in...
Dickinson Gorsuch, the son of Edward Gorsuch.
I'm so surprised. Well, I guess they were sort of kindly Quaker folk, and if there was a injured man, they would take him in. Elizabeth Pownall, who afterwards became my wife. So this is written by the son-in-law of Sarah Pownall.
Exactly.
Okay. And her sister Ellen were washing dishes in the kitchen when Parker and Pinckney walked in through the out kitchen door. Can you just remind me who Pinckney is?
He was William Parker's brother-in-law.
Right. So they're in hot water and they have to flee. Okay. Fortunately, the girls had presence of mind enough to blow out the candles and open the stair door and motion to the two men to go upstairs. So they concealed them.
Yes.
Wow, this is amazing. Then Mrs. Sarah Pownall, who was the best and most capable woman I ever knew, whispered to the girls, "Get a clean pillowcase and fill it with bread and meat." There was a whispered remonstrance. All these people in the house to feed and barely enough bread for breakfast. Mrs. Pownall whispered back, "Mix more bread." The pillowcase was filled. Levi Pownall Jr. went upstairs and provided the men with clothes and hats, so he gave them disguises. George Pownall took the pillowcase of food out to the orchard and left it at the foot of the queen apple tree. So that's my 3 times great-grandfather. So he was passing food to them, and his brother, Levi Pownall Jr., was disguising them. At a favorable time, the 2 colored men were brought down, and the 2 Miss Pownalls walked beside them to the gate. If the guards saw them, they supposed them to be callers on the young ladies. They had the enemy in their house, and they were able to disguise Parker and Pinckney as gentlemen callers.
Yes.
One morning when the Pownall family came down, they found a letter under the front door addressed to Elizabeth B. Pownall. It said, "Parker is safe in Canada." So that's pretty extraordinary.
It was an incredibly heroic operation. Clearly, it was very complex. It was undertaken while the entire community was under hostile occupation.
That would seem to me that they have done this before.
No question about it. This is proof that your ancestor, Sarah Pownall, and her entire family were deep, deep, deep in the Underground Railroad.
Wow. It's so encouraging to think that at this time, a woman could have been doing something this brave and this cutting edge and this political. It's really exciting to think that this is my family.
Indeed.
So it sounds like Christiana was in real turmoil at this point, and I'm wondering what happened in the aftermath and where the Pownalls were in all of this.
The Pownalls are not arrested, remarkably, considering that we know they were harboring the 2 most wanted men in Lancaster County.
Right.
38 of their neighbors, black and white, are arrested and put on trial for treason, for making war against the United States, for daring to fight back.
Wow.
They see those neighbors, at least one of them, going to trial for treason. Now, it took the jury only 15 minutes to acquit that man because the evidence didn't back it up. Government was so humiliated by that defeat that it abandoned charges against the remaining people. And the result was a collapse, really, of federal prosecutions. Now, there's a man who is so affected by what's happened here that it helps embitter him against the United States government. He's a friend of the Gorsuch family. His name is John Wilkes Booth.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And Booth writes how deeply he was angered by the crime committed against the Gorsuch family and how it was never paid for. And this is one of the things John Wilkes Booth is carrying with him in 1865.
Was anger about the Christiana resistance.
Yeah, and assassinates Abraham Lincoln.
That's incredible.
Open this.
Oh my goodness.
There she is.
That's Sarah Pownall. Wow. She has a very kind face.
Yes.
This is wonderful to see. This means so much more to me, knowing what she did in her life and what kind of a person she was. I feel I have a real respect for this great woman. In fact, I think, to me, she's a hero. And I just admire her intelligence and her bravery.
They believed in a higher law that required them to do the right thing rather than something that happened to be legal but was morally wrong.
Yeah. Because this is so much greater than just a family. This is a huge movement and led to the free country we live in now.
She made a direct contribution to that here at Christiana.
Well, that's really amazing. So I knew, because I had read it in my family tree, that Sarah Pownall had passed away in September of '52.
She died within that year of the resistance.
Do we know how she died?
I don't think we do.
Perhaps the stress of the resistance really weighed on Sarah.
I've brought you a map of the Salisbury Cemetery.
So she's buried not far from here.
A few minutes' drive.
I think I'm gonna go pay my respects. I've become so attached to this person over the past few days, and to see her face and put a face with the name and the story and all of the things that she did really completed the picture. I was really sad to learn that Sarah Pownall died right after the Christiana resistance, because she died before the Civil War and before emancipation. To not have been able to see that in her lifetime is sort of sad. So visiting Sarah Pownall's grave, I think, will be a really sweet ending to this journey. I can see some of the qualities that I see in Sarah Pownall, you know, in my grandmother and Granny. And to see how far back it goes is really exciting. To truly understand how extraordinary it was for a woman at this time to be involved politically like Sarah Pownall was is just incredible. And it makes me realize how much we can change. It makes me really inspired to encourage the next generation of strong women. I don't think I could have possibly been prepared for how moving and amazing this journey was. And I don't think I could have ever imagined I came from such heroes. This journey makes me want to be a better person. And you can't put a price on being inspired.